At the world-renowned Arcelia Magic Academy, known for its top-notch facilities, whispers filled the assembly hall about a student. Is that her? The one who protected the commoner? Someone said, noting her unfamiliar family crest. She must be from some rural noble house. She looks cute, though. Despite their impressive facilities, the students weren't all top tier. Probably only half of Hall B will pass, or even fewer. Next, number 86. Step forward. Eliza approached confidently. Here, please give me your name. Examinee number 86, Eliza. I'll be in your care. May I begin? Huh? Yeah. Please begin the test. Flame Edge. Eliza commanded, and the target was instantly damaged. Unbelievable. The Park Matter target is damaged? Flame Edge? The regalia for Red Eyes was set to Fireball. Did she not use a regalia? Is that a rule violation? No, she certainly activated the regalia, clarified an observer. Eliza explained, I just rewrote the source. Figured I could do more damage that way. Seriously? In an instant, one observer marveled. Teacher Fedia, rewriting the source is not prohibited. That's what magic is all about. We only evaluate the power of their magic, a staff member confirmed. An urgent call came in. Teacher Fedia, it's an emergency. Please come quickly. Speak accurately and concisely, please. In Hall A, an amber-eyed student melted the Park Matter or shooting target with fire magic. He burned the perimeter too. What's the examinee's name? Which noble house does he belong to? He's not a noble. He's from the Langabar province. His name is Abel. Ah, the amber-eyed commoner from a while ago. His friend called him Abel. It's getting interesting, someone noted. In Class A, Eliza found herself among top students. I'm in Class A with Teach. Since there was no classification above A, they had to put Ted and me in the same class. A door led to the Class A waiting room. Don't emphasize Class A at random. The rumor about destroying the dark matter or target might be spreading. Eliza approached another student. Hey you, do you mind if I sit next to you? Hey, what's with that attitude? I'm talking to you, so look at me. I'm just keeping my mouth shut because apparently a commoner shouldn't get friendly with nobles, Eliza replied. Nice comeback. But I have to clarify. I'm not a stickler for the nobles' rules. I just don't like the weak, the student said. Eliza was asked about her magic. Are the rumors true? Did you really destroy the dark matter target during the practical exam? Who knows? Maybe, she responded. How did you create that magic? What about the source? I heard magicians with amber eyes can't handle magic. What's your favorite magic attribute? Did you train under a famous magician? They inquired. The final test was introduced. The final test is a skill test simulating a duel. The outcome will significantly impact your final result. There are 3 rules. 1. The match is one-on-one. 2. The winner is the one who destroys their opponent's defense magic. 3. Pairings are based on previous test results for fairness. Make sure to check your opponent's number, the announcer instructed. Eliza and Abel faced off. I'm glad you are not my opponent, Teach. My opponent is number 86. Speaking of which, I haven't introduced myself yet. I'm Eliza. My best regards, Abel, he replied. Eliza and Abel moved to the final exam site. This defense magic will withstand a few blows from low-level magic, but high-level magic will destroy it in one blow. Be careful if it gets broken. A little insecure, but this is enough for a fight between students. Okay, number 27, number 86. Step forward. Their battle was about to begin, starting off with the rumored inferior eyes. The girl in the red dress also damaged the target. Oh crap, looks like our battle will attract the most attention during this test. Come on, let's dance. I'll see what you're capable of, Abel challenged. Come on, pick your weapon. Eliza taunted, her eyes fixed on Abel. Abel stayed calm, showing no signs of intimidation. I'm sorry, but I don't use weapons. Eliza raised an eyebrow. Any special reason for that? Abel shrugged. It's nothing special, but it's faster to build my own magic from scratch. I assure you, I won't disappoint you. Eliza smirked. I see. You prefer the old way. Well, I don't hate that. She moved quickly, launching her first attack. Flame Edge. But to Abel, Her speed was nothing extraordinary. She might as well have been standing still, he thought as he easily dodged her assault. Eliza continued her relentless pace. This pace of attacks, impressive for a magician of this era. Abel was barely fazed. Just dodging is getting boring. Let's see what you're truly capable of. He unleashed his own magic. Flame Edge. Suddenly, Eliza evaded the attack, surprising Abel. Did I go too far? She mused as Abel remained composed, intrigued by the fight. It's been a long time since I've had a duel this interesting, Abel admitted. Eliza was unfazed. Burning bullet. This is the end. Abel stood still, unbothered, while Eliza panted from the effort of her attack. Can she still stand? He wondered. An official quickly intervened, confirming the destruction of the defense magic. Both of you stop. But Eliza wasn't ready to back down. No, not yet. The official tried to stop her. But you've lost the match. Eliza's voice was firm. We're still in the middle of a personal duel. Abel watched her closely. She absolutely hates to lose, he thought, as Eliza's determination burned in her eyes. I'm going to prove that I'm stronger than everyone, Eliza declared. Abel then asked her, Can I ask you something? Why are you so obsessed with being strong in a peaceful era? Eliza's voice grew darker. Peace is a make-believe word. 100 years without strife. Is that really true? The neighboring kingdom, Kurdria, is quietly building its army for a war that could happen someday. And a few years ago, there was an incident involving demons, but the public wasn't informed, just to preserve the illusion of peace. Abel listened intently as she continued. No war will happen because of a treaty? The demon king's soul has disappeared, so he won't return? Who decided that? I refuse to sit on top of this false peace. She then revealed her true goal. If a magic war happens again, weak magicians will be wiped out. So I'll be strong, strong enough to rebuild the house that raised me. Abel processed her words, realizing what drove her. Her family. In this peaceful time, people who prepare for war are seen as dangerous. Eliza's family must have fallen behind, unable to adapt to modern values. Suddenly, Eliza's power surged. Forbidden art, rose matter sky, analytical eye. Abel recognized the technique. This is beyond a student's level, but I've seen this magic somewhere before. Eliza rose into the air. Physical flair. Flight magic. It's not just a legend. Abel grinned, readying himself. Prepare yourself. I'm completely different now. Unleashing forbidden art. Eliza unleashed her secret technique. Flight magic. Everyone was in awe. Flight magic actually exists, someone whispered, stunned. Eliza, known for her red eyes, had clearly mastered the complex technique of balancing multiple attributes of magic. This is nothing new to me, Abel said calmly, as he analyzed and immediately dispelled her magic. Dispel magic, huh? The crowd was even more amazed by Abel's ability to dismantle such a powerful spell effortlessly. Eliza, taken aback, asked, How did you know? Abel looked at her with a smirk. You must be a descendant of the hero of Fire Maria. It's a family trait, straightforward and reckless. Eliza couldn't believe it. She had inherited the magic of her ancestors, and yet Abel had countered it with ease. He continued, Rose Matter Sky, the forbidden art that boosts combat ability by burning your own life force? A dangerous move. A teacher announced, Winner, examinee number 27, Abel. The crowd buzzed. What just happened? They wondered, as they marveled at Abel's. Meanwhile, in the background, the academy's staff whispered about the new students. This year's foreign students, Ted, Eliza, Abel, are being called the Genius Three. But I only see one true genius, said Sir Emerson, an influential figure at the academy. Abel, the boy with the amber eyes. His magic is unparalleled. The headmaster was intrigued. Abel? Who is he? Sir Emerson revealed that Abel had achieved perfect scores in both written and practical exams, something unheard of in the academy's history. He's the greatest genius this academy has ever seen. Later, in a quiet room, the headmaster stumbled upon a letter from the past. It spoke of the true hero who had defeated the Demon King centuries ago, an amber-eyed magician named Abel, whose existence had been erased from history. Is it really possible, he mused? Could Abel from 200 years ago and the boy standing before them now be the same person? It seemed impossible, yet there he was, revealing his true power. The headmaster couldn't help but wonder, is this just a coincidence, or is history repeating itself? Abel sat in a quiet coffee shop, sipping his drink. Not bad, he muttered. 200 years ago, they called coffee the devil's drink. Only a few enthusiasts enjoyed it. Now it's the most common drink in the world. Suddenly, Ted burst through the door. "Teach! Sorry I kept you waiting," he exclaimed. Abel frowned slightly. "Ted, this is a coffee shop. Can you not open the door quietly?" Ted grinned sheepishly. "I'm sorry," he chuckled, "but look, I passed." He proudly waved his exam results in front of Abel. "How is it?" "I try my best." Abel remained calm. "No need to check. I can already tell I passed too." Ted blinked in surprise. "Huh? But how do you know?" Abel smirked. "The envelope. You already opened it. And considering your personality, you wouldn't ask me if I failed." Ted scratched his head, grinning. "As expected of Teach, you saw right through me." Abel chuckled softly. "It's 200 years too early for you to try tricks on me." Just then, Abel noticed someone trying, and failing miserably, to hide behind Ted. "By the way, Ted, who's your guest?" Ted gestured awkwardly, revealing Eliza, who had been lurking nearby. "Ah, that's her," he said. Abel sighed. "I noticed her a long time ago. You don't have the heart to expose her terrible skill, do you?" Eliza stepped forward, attempting to be nonchalant. "What a coincidence running into you here. I love the shop's cupcakes." Abel raised an eyebrow. "There are no cupcakes on the shop's menu," he said dryly. "Now, what do you want?" Eliza hesitated for a moment, then replied, "I just wanted to know what class you're in." Abel narrowed his eyes. "Why do you want to know?" "Because you're one of the few people I know." Eliza blurted out, flustered. "I thought it'd be nice to learn more about the school before enrollment." Abel sighed again. "She doesn't seem to be lying, but what does she hope to gain by knowing my class?" he wondered aloud. Ted chimed in. "Teach, she'll find out eventually, so why not tell her now?" Abel shrugged. "Phoenix, me and Ted are in the same class." Eliza's eyes lit up. "Really? I hope I'm in the same class too. But even if I am, I'll be the one graduating at the top." Abel, unfazed, continued sipping his coffee. "It'd be too noisy if we were," he muttered. Suddenly, Eliza turned to the clerk. "Excuse me, can I have a bag of cookies, please?" After she left, Ted looked at Abel, puzzled. What did she want in the end? Abel shrugged again. "No idea, but we're going to be busy from now on. We need to start preparing for the move." Ted nodded. "Yeah, I'll be staying in the student dormitory." "What about you, Teach?" Abel thought for a moment. "If I live in the dormitory, I'll be separated from Lilith." Ted seemed concerned. "Will Teach be okay without her?" Before Abel could answer, a voice interrupted. Just what I expected from Master Abel. Lilith appeared, out of nowhere. "Miss Lilith, why are you here? And what are you wearing?" Lilith smiled proudly. "I have something to report. Today, Lilith, was hired as a teacher at our Sulia Magic Academy." Ted's jaw dropped. "Seriously? That timing is way too convenient." Abel wasn't surprised. Of course, if this woman sets her mind to it, even the top Magic Academy would make room for her. Lilith continued, "From now on, I will support Master Abel as a teacher at the academy." Ted, still reeling, turned to Abel. "Teach, you need to practice with me before we enroll. You didn't do too well on your practical skills test, right?" Abel sighed again. Good grief. As they left the coffee shop, Abel realized that his days at the academy, surrounded by these characters, were going to be anything but quiet. Master Abel stood by the window, gazing out at the familiar landscape. "Master Abel, are you ready?" Lilith asked softly. "Yeah, no problem. I've already packed my luggage," Abel replied, turning away from the window. Lilith looked at him, sensing a hint of hesitation. "Are you feeling reluctant to leave?" Abel smiled faintly. "This is just an ordinary plot of land with nothing worth talking about. But after living here for more than 2 years, you can't help but feel attached. You'll be back during summer vacation, Lilith reassured him. Let's. Ted burst in, as usual full of energy. Teach! Hurry up! The entrance ceremony is the day after tomorrow. As they set off, Abel silently watched the changing scenery, the lingering winter making way for spring. Ted chattered excitedly. When winter ends and spring begins, new lives sprout on the land. I'll make so many friends at the academy. Abel just smiled. After some time, Lilith asked, Did you sleep well? Abel nodded. Yes, sorry about that. Lilith shook her head. It's fine. In the future, we'll have fewer opportunities to meet like this. She paused for a moment. At the academy, you should be paying close attention to our relationship. Of course, Abel responded, looking out the window. Well, it's about time to wake him up, Lilith said, eyeing Ted, who was fast asleep with a terrible posture. Yeah, we'll be there soon, Lilith added, casting a minor fire spell. Ted, wake up. We're almost there. Ted jolted awake, yelping, Hot. Ah? We're almost there? Abel chuckled. Yes, we're almost there. And you slept the whole way. Ted rubbed his eyes, groggy. I feel like I just had a terrible dream, but it's all good now. Finally, they arrived at the student dormitory. This is it, Lilith announced. The student dormitory. It's pretty big. Ted, now fully awake, looked around. I heard only first-year students use this building. And there are labs and shops here too. I guess I'll check them out later. Lilith nodded. Well, I have to go introduce myself and submit lesson plans as a new teacher. You two take care. As they walked inside, Abel felt a sudden surge of magical energy. The magic powers reaction just now. It must be an intruder countermeasure. A voice called out, You guys are freshmen, right? A woman appeared, introducing herself. My name is Fidia. I'm in charge of this building for first-year students. Abel recognized her instantly. She's the one who cast the defensive magic during the entrance exam. Fidia handed them their academy uniforms. Here are your uniforms. Inside the dormitory, you can dress however you like, but outside, you must wear these. Ted held up the uniform, curious. Is this uniform enchanted? Fidia smiled. You're knowledgeable. The Academy's designated supplier added enchantments of magic resistance and stain resistance. Abel examined the material. The material is first class, but the enchantment work is sloppy, he thought, but kept it to himself. Your room is on the second floor, Fidia continued. Until the entrance ceremony tomorrow, you can spend your time as you wish. My recommendation? The Academy's training gym in the basement. Students these days tend to neglect physical training. Ted whispered to Abel, Man, she's one strict teacher, but kind of pretty, though I don't think her type is popular with guys. Abel shook his head. Don't ever say that to her face. Abel smiled and gestured for Ted to come closer. That's right, Ted. Let me redo your uniform's enchantment for you. Ted's eyes widened. Really? Is that okay? Today's special, Abel said, preparing the spell. Teach, you're so kind, Ted exclaimed. Abel smirked. I'm not doing it for praise. I just want... Ted scratched his head. By the way, Teach, what exactly is an enchantment? Abel sighed. Did you really pass the entrance exam? You know the properties of each eye type, right? Ted nodded enthusiastically. Of course. Red eyes are fire, blue eyes are water, green eyes are wind, gray eyes are support, and black eyes are creation or production. Abel nodded. Right? Black eyes are good at granting magic, which enhances or changes the properties of objects. Enchantment is one of the most useful forms of granting magic. For example, an enchanted sword becomes sharper, and an enchanted shield increases in. Ted's eyes lit up in awe. Whoa, I'm listening, but I can't understand. Abel chuckled. It's faster to let you experience it than to explain. With a wave of his hand, the enchantment was complete. It's done. Try it on. Ted slipped on his newly enchanted uniform. Whoa, it feels great. My body feels lighter. Abel nodded. There's more to it than that. Ted grinned. I'll wear this immediately and go around offering steamed buns. Abel blinked. Steamed buns? Ted pulled out a box. This? Snowball steamed buns. A special product from the Langobard territory. I'll pass them out to the neighbors and make 100 friends. Abel chuckled to himself. He's as noisy as ever. But 100 friends? With someone like Ted, that might not be too far-fetched. Just as Ted was about to run off, a voice interrupted. Stop messing around. Ted flinched. But I'm not messing around. Shut up. Another voice snapped. Abel sighed. Trouble ahead, all because of steamed buns. In the bustling courtyard of the academy, a heated argument broke out. How far do you intend to insult us? A voice shouted, filled with rage. Nearby, Ted was nervously clutching his box of Snowball steamed buns. I just wanted to make friends, he muttered, confused by the hostility. What? A student sneered. Save your sleep-talking for when you're asleep. You rural noble. Who's going to be friends with stinking trash like you? The group laughed, and one of them added, Know your place, you stinky poison perch. Ted blinked. Poison perch? He vaguely remembered reading about it. An invasive freshwater fish that disturbs the ecosystem. A surge of courage rose in Ted. Anyway, I want you to try this. It's my hometown specialty. Shut up, someone interrupted, kicking the box out of Ted's hands. Snowball steamed buns scattered across Ted's heart sank. No, one of the students smirked. How could we eat food from a poison perch like you? Abel, watching from a distance, sighed. It seems like it'll be more trouble if I interfere, but I can't leave this alone. If that's what you say. A calm voice broke the tension. Abel stepped forward, bending down and picking up one of the buns from the ground. I'll have one. Everyone stared in disbelief. Did this girl just eat something that fell on the floor? Abel chewed thoughtfully. I'll give it about 70 points. I would have liked a little more local flavor. A student named Eliza stormed forward, disgusted. I can't believe it. There's a limit to how ill-mannered you can be. Kicking food away and abusing your classmates. Who's the ill-mannered one here? This is why I don't like you poison perches, someone shouted. What did you just say? Eliza snapped back. Shut up, you trash. Ted looked around nervously. I know Eliza's trying to encourage me in her own way, but suddenly, another student stepped forward. Look at this, he jeered. There's even someone with trashy, inferior eyes among this year's outsiders. Ted froze. These guys must be elite students from the Academy's prep school. That's why they call us common students poison perches. The elite student locked eyes with Abel. Hey, you, why don't you say something? You good-for-nothing inferior eyes. Abel's gaze was steady, but his mind raced. It's not my style, but I can't afford to cause a problem before the entrance exam. Taking a deep breath, Abel stepped in. Listen, Ted meant no offense. Let's all just. Don't you dare badmouth my teacher. Mars, one of Ted's friends, shouted, charging forward. With a loud thud, the elite student was thrown back, hitting the ground with a groan. Mars. Ted cried out. Are you okay? Mars blinked in shock. He passed out. A look of disbelief spread through the group. What the hell is going on? We were repelled. Abel looked at Mars' uniform and smiled. It seems the reflect physics enchantment I added is working perfectly. The elites cursed under their breath. Damn it, we're retreating for now. As they turned to leave, one of the students glanced back at Abel. Wait a minute, that uniform. What the hell is it? Abel remained silent. It's going to be a big hassle if they find out. Ted, however, was not as discreet. Of course, it's Teach. Teach's enchantment magic skill is first class. Eliza's eyes widened. Teach? Is it Abel? During the exam, and now, with these enchantments. Who are you really? Abel remained quiet, but Ted's excitement grew. Earlier, thanks to Teach's enchantment, you saved me. So, I still haven't thanked you properly. Here. Ted handed Abel a bun. These are delicious. You should try them. Abel raised an eyebrow. And they haven't fallen on the floor? Ted laughed. No, those ones are mine. I'll eat them later. Abel took a bite and shrugged. It's just average. Ted pouted. Both of you are so harsh. But if you put an enchantment on the wrapping paper that lowers the temperature of the buns, wouldn't that enhance the local flavor Eliza mentioned? It would help with preservation, too. Abel shook his head. I won't do it. Ah, Ted sighed. I'll learn to do it myself. It might be tough for a red-eye like me, but I'll do my best to make 100 friends. Abel couldn't help but smile. Looks like he's not going to let his eye color discourage him. I'll admit, he has the right spirit. Eliza crossed her arms. By the way, why was I on the boys' floor again? Ted blinked. Dunno. I forgot. I was planning to check out the dormitory with Abel. He groaned. Well, there goes my dorm tour plan. A mysterious encounter at the academy. We're late, shouted Ted, panicking as they hurried towards the academy's grand entrance. Calm down, Abel replied, his voice calm and steady. We still have some time left. Ted sighed, apologetic. I'm sorry. I couldn't sleep last night. I was too nervous, especially after yesterday's incident. And these pillows? They're nothing like what I'm used to. Abel glanced over at him. Have they told the teachers about what happened? Ted asked nervously. No way, Abel assured him. They wouldn't admit defeat. They're too proud to say they lost to an outsider. Ted nodded, still uneasy. Next time I see them, I'll apologize. As they approached the large door to the academy, Abel suddenly stopped. What's wrong, Teach? Ted asked. This door, it has a built-in magic source, Abel muttered. If I touch it, I'll attract too much attention. But if they know I can sense the trick, that might cause even more problems. I'll open it, Ted said confidently. You just walk in behind me. Abel smiled. You'll understand soon enough. Ted stepped forward, opening the grand door. The mechanisms inside began to whir as the door responded to his magic. That blonde, someone gasped. He activated the mechanisms of the singing door. Abel stepped through, unimpressed. It's just old-fashioned magic, he said coolly. The door reacts to the magic of the one who opens it. The headmaster, an imposing man named Michael, greeted them inside. I'm the headmaster, Michael. Congratulations on your enrollment, new students. As Abel stood quietly, Ted whispered, Did you know? The headmaster is a descendant of Roy, the hero of Wind. Is that so? Abel responded nonchalantly. A new teacher, Lilith, stepped forward to introduce herself. From this year onward, I will be your instructor. I'm Lilith. I hope we can all get along. Ted whispered excitedly. Did she just smile at me? Don't be an idiot, a nearby student shot back. She was looking at me. As the introductions continued, Abel felt uneasy. That look, he thought, eyeing Lilith. It's not a creature. It feels like regalia. But there's no immediate danger. The students took their seats, but Abel couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. It feels like someone's gaze is on us, he muttered to Ted. Ted looked around, noticing that they were one of the few outsiders in the class. There are only 7 of us here. As they settled in, the class teacher, Professor Emerson, entered. His reputation preceded him as a master of modern magic and a leading expert in regalia development. He was rumored to be the strongest magician of their time. He's the one who made the entrance exams so difficult, Abel noted. Curious, Ted raised his hand. Professor, why are you suddenly teaching our class? Don't you usually focus on your research? Professor Emerson gave a sly smile. I'm only teaching because it helps me secure research funds from the kingdom. But there is also something I want to confirm. Abel narrowed his eyes. This man, he's hiding something. As the class ended, Ted turned to Abel. What a strange teacher. Later that day, as the students left the academy, Abel was approached by a mysterious figure. Master Abel, is Ted not with you? The figure asked with a strange glint in their eye. He's busy making friends, Abel replied warily. May I kiss you? The figure suddenly asked, their voice dripping with playful mischief. Abel glared. What are you talking about? Forbidden love between a teacher and student? You need to be careful at school. The air around them grew cold as Abel cast a small spell. Ice needle, he muttered, warding off the figure's advances. His mind returned to the academy and Professor Emerson. He's been watching me since the entrance ceremony, Abel thought. It's probably his doing. As the figure offered to investigate, Abel shook his head. No, it's fine. I don't want to stir any more trouble for now. Just be careful. The figure bowed. Yes, Master Abel. As Professor Emerson watched Abel walk away, deep in thought, a challenge lingered in the air. Has he noticed after all? Emerson wondered. He clenched his fist. Now, I need to refine my magic, make it sharper and more subtle, perhaps even more efficient. This student may finally be the one worth my time. A fierce determination flared in Emerson's eyes. "Abel, show me the power that I've been waiting to witness." As the teacher droned on, Abel found himself zoning out again. At what level of difficulty is this prestigious school's class supposed to be? He thought to himself, his eyes half-lidded with boredom. The construct and reaction formulas would represent the variable equation for the parsing value in the source position. The teacher explained monotonously. Then, it can be derived by calculating the proper external resistant. It had been a few days since Abel's school life began, but this class was just as boring as ever. This will be on the test, Then don't erase it so quickly, Abel thought. Dozens of steps could be removed from this source using the shortened formula. Abel, if this is the kind of lesson I'll be having for the next 5 years, it's a waste of time, Abel sighed inwardly. He had already started researching magic on his own. It was far more efficient than sitting in class. "Mr. Abel," the teacher called out suddenly. "Go ahead and solve this problem." Abel raised an eyebrow. "So, they're finally trying to use me as an example," he thought, his lips curling slightly. The problem on the board was trivial, both in difficulty and in the teacher's reasoning behind it. He walked to the front of the class, solving the problem effortlessly. "Correct as expected, teach," Abel said, as though it was nothing. He returned to his seat, thinking, "Now back to my research." As he sat down, a pair of students whispered to each other. "That Abel? Could he be a hidden gem? His calmness is so surprising." "Pardon me," Abel muttered, not even looking at them. "I was just about to reach the most interesting part of my research." "Hey, no chatting in my class," the teacher barked, interrupting Abel's train of thought. "Good grief," Abel sighed as the class dragged on. Finally it ended. Abel stayed behind in the library, grateful for the quiet atmosphere. He'd taken a liking to one of the smaller, less popular libraries on campus. The soft light of the sunset filtered through the windows, and the faint smell of old books made it a perfect study spot. It's not a bad student life if you can study in a place like this, Abel thought. Suddenly, he heard footsteps approaching. "Oh, what a coincidence, Abel. You're studying here too?" A voice called out. Abel glanced up. A coincidence, huh, he thought. For someone like her, there's no way it's a coincidence. "You need 2 formulas there," Abel said, noticing her work. "Yeah, like this?" she asked, showing him her notes. "Yeah, separate the formulas in the front and back. Then this is the result." "That's right. We'll calculate the common denominator later." "I did it," she said excitedly. Abel nodded. Her adaptability is far better than Ted's, he thought. And what about this part?" she asked, her face full of curiosity. "You can try this," Abel answered, guiding her through the process. "Thanks for today, Abel," she said with a shy smile. "You explained it so well." "It was nothing," Abel replied nonchalantly. "Hey, on our next day off, would you like to go to the royal capital?" she asked. "The royal capital? I want to thank you for helping me study. You can enjoy a delicious meal, find rare fruits, and taste incredible sweets. There's more than just food, too. Like used bookstores. You might find a rare book cheaply," she added quickly, seeing Abel's interest. "A used bookstore?" Abel's eyes lit up. "The school library doesn't have anything older than 200 years. "Sure, I'd like to check that out." "Great. It's a deal then. I know plenty of good restaurants too," she said excitedly. In the end, it's still all about food with her, Abel. Suddenly, a familiar voice interrupted them. "Abel, you're the guy from that." Abel turned to see the students Ted had confronted earlier. "Huh? Oh, you're the one Ted headbutted," he said, recognizing them. "Don't remind me," the student fumed. "We're in the same class, and you outsiders have a bad habit of forgetting. What do you want from me?" Abel asked, his tone indifferent. "How did someone like you with those strange eyes get into this school? You must have used some dirty tricks." Yeah. Today, we're going to hold another entrance exam." Another student. Abel sighed. Flimsy toys again, he thought, already bored with the challenge. He inspected their regalia and smirked. What fun is there in using tools that leave no room for ingenuity? This regalia, it's in bad shape. "What do you mean?" one of the students asked, alarmed. "The materials deteriorated, distorting the source. If you're aiming to be a magician, take better care of your tools. Otherwise, you'll never become excellent magicians." With that, Abel turned and walked away, leaving them speechless. "Come on, Eliza," he called. "Why, yes," she replied, quickly following. As they left, the student fumed. "Abel, you should look forward to tomorrow's class. I swear I'll humiliate you." The excitement was palpable as the students eagerly prepared for their physical education class. "What? Tension max. It's finally time for PE. My blood is boiling," one student shouted, clearly pumped. Cantor, the PE instructor, greeted the class with a grin. "I'm Cantor, your instructor. Some of you might remember me from prep school," he said. But as he exchanged banter with the inner circle students, it became apparent that favoritism ruled in this school. "Kanchan, how'd it go with that woman you picked up at the bar last time?" one student teased. "Shut up. I told you not to talk about that." Cantor snapped, his face turning red. Abel, standing on the sidelines, observed the situation, feeling the increasing alienation that the outsider students often. Cantor introduced the game for today's class, the hunt. A competitive sport from noble traditions, it was a game of strategy and speed. Teams were split into attackers, the shooters, and defenders, the rabbits. The goal for the shooters was to knock down as many rabbits as possible with their magical bullet gloves. But as Cantor explained the rules, it was clear that some students already knew them. The inner circle students smirked knowingly, while the outsiders felt uneasy. Eliza, one of Abel's classmates, clenched her fists. "For the sake of the world, I'll kill them all right here," she muttered in frustration, but Abel quickly calmed her down. "Hold it in," he whispered. As the game began, the inner circle students wasted no time in showing off their advantage. They had their own gloves and boasted about their superior skills. "We'll take you down, outsider students," one of them sneered. Abel and his team, made up of outsider students, felt the tension rise. They were clearly outnumbered and outmatched, especially with Cantor seemingly turning a blind eye to the inner circle's cheating. Despite their initial fear, Abel urged his team to give it their all. "Don't talk about yourselves so pathetically before the fight has even started," he said confidently. "A magician's main asset is his body. Just follow my lead." The game started, and the shooters launched their attacks. Bullets flew fast and furious, but Abel's team managed to dodge most of them. Eliza darted across the court, evading the speedy spear bullets. But as the game progressed, it became clear that something was off. The inner circle students seemed to be bending the rules, their bullets hitting targets even when they should have missed. "Why? I avoided that perfectly," Abel thought, bewildered. The inner circle students smirked as they knocked down more rabbits. "They're cheating," Eliza shouted in frustration. Abel, now realizing the depth of their dishonesty, gritted his teeth. "Their character is rotten," he muttered, determined to not let them win easily. He knew this battle was about more than just winning the game. It was about standing up to the favoritism that dominated their school life. With renewed resolve, Abel and his team prepared for the next round, ready to fight back, fair and square. The intense game of the hunt was reaching its peak as students dodged and weaved across the court. "Those who've been hit should leave the court immediately," Cantor, the PE instructor, called out. But the tension in the air was palpable. The outsider students were at a clear disadvantage, and Abel was starting to realize why. "I should have avoided it, but that bullet, it had tracking. Their gloves must be rigged," Abel muttered, noticing how the inner circle students' shots seemed unnaturally accurate. Eliza, one of his teammates, was quick to confront them. "Hey, you just cheated," she shouted, but the inner circle students dismissed her accusation. "Stop with the baseless allegations. Got any proof we cheated?" they taunted, smirking. Abel stepped in, calming Eliza. "Don't get too fired up. Focus on the game. You're getting distracted." Eliza nodded, her fierce determination softening. "Thanks, Abel." Though fiery, she was surprisingly quick to listen when necessary. The game continued, with the shooters relentlessly targeting the rabbits. "Eliza, behind you!" Yukari called out, saving her teammate from a sneak attack. Abel, meanwhile, observed Yukari's calm demeanor. She had a wider vision than the others, and if she could fix her negative mindset, Abel thought, she could become a great magician in the future. But as the inner circle students closed in on the outsider team, they started targeting those who had already fallen. "Yukari, Eliza screamed as her friend was hit, but the opposing team didn't stop. They kept attacking her. There's no rule against attacking fallen rabbits, right? One of the inner circle students mocked. Objection! Eliza yelled, her voice echoing across the court. Teacher, you saw that, right? That didn't count. Cantor, however, brushed it off. Huh? I was just watching the other team. If you got hit, get off the court. The frustration on the outsider team's faces grew. As the game progressed, Abel remained the last standing member of his team. He could hear the inner circle students taunting him. You outsiders are insignificant, one sneered. But Abel remained calm, analyzing every move. He hadn't moved much from his spot, conserving his energy while dodging attacks with precision. Suddenly, the inner circle students launched a new strategy. Let's use our usual combination attack, they shouted, adding scattered bullets to their assault. Abel saw it coming. This is a gross violation of the rules, he thought, but he had no intention of revealing his full strength just yet. Instead, he dodged gracefully, making it look like the other team's mistake. The game timer finally buzzed, marking the end of the first half. Abel stood tall as the sole survivor of his team. Wow, Abel, that was amazing. You're the only one who withstood their attacks. Eliza praised. Was that anti-magic you used? Yukari asked, curious about his secret. Abel, calm and determined, gathered his team for a strategy meeting. I was the only survivor this time, he said, his voice steady. But if we don't annihilate the other team, we lose. We'll win this game. His confidence ignited a spark in his team, and they prepared for the second. The tension in the air was palpable as Eliza rallied her teammates. It's time to fight back, she shouted, her voice filled with determination that ignited a spark in everyone around her. Let's go. I'll redeem our honor. Her energy was contagious, and the rest of the team could feel the pressure of the battle beginning to shift in their favor. If it's attack magic, leave it to me, Ted declared with a confident grin. He was more than ready for this, and the power surging through him made him feel invincible. I won't stop, even if they beg me to. His voice was filled with fire, the kind that made his opponents think twice. Good luck, everyone. Yukari's voice was calm, soft, almost unnoticed in the heat of the battle. There had been a suggestion to have her play a more offensive role, but she had declined. I'm not good with attack magic, she had confessed earlier, knowing her talents were better suited elsewhere. With her quiet demeanor and black eyes, she had always been more comfortable playing a supporting role. Idiot? Yukari nodded, her usual timidness replaced by a flicker of determination. The moment had come. The second half of the game was about to begin. Abel raised his voice, addressing the team. All right, you guys, are you ready? With a sharp whistle, the game was back on. Formation. Phalanx, Abel commanded. The team moved as one, slipping into their tightly knit formation. Roger that, they replied in unison, their voices filled with purpose. On the other side of the battlefield, the opponent smirked, clearly underestimating their strategy. You've decided to gather together and make yourselves a bigger target. Huh. One of the rivals sneered. Take this. In a flash, the enemy launched their attacks. From the northwest came a spear-type strike, while disc-type magic soared in from the southeast. Sphere-type from the east, Ted called out. North-northwest spear. The team's responses were quick, their communication flawless. They shared information with each other to eliminate their blind spots, making it harder for the enemy to strike a decisive blow. This teamwork, they must have learned this from prep school, Abel observed, carefully analyzing the opposition's movements. But if I do something, I'll stand out for no reason, he thought, remembering how much he preferred keeping a low profile. He wasn't looking for fame or recognition. He just wanted peace in his school life. Suddenly, Abel had an idea. Hey, Ted, lend me your ear, he whispered. Now teach. Ted looked confused but leaned in to listen. After a brief whisper, Ted's eyes lit up with understanding. Understood. Leave it to me, he grinned, ready to act. Don't leave me out. Eliza huffed, noticing the two whispering. What are you doing? Eliza's getting tired too, so let's end this quickly, Ted said with a smirk. Without hesitation, Ted began summoning his magic. He raised his arms high, calling forth a mighty spell. Holy spears descending from heaven, darker than twilight. Abel blinked, slightly amused. What's with the big preamble, he thought. Well, whatever. Gather my hand. Unleash the power from the abominable void. Russet Tempest. Ted's voice boomed across the battlefield, and his magic erupted like a storm, sending waves of destruction towards the enemy team. Jaya! One of the rabbits screamed as Ted's magic struck them down with ferocity. Ouch! Came another cry. Eliza's eyes widened with admiration. Ted is amazing, she exclaimed, watching in awe. What did he do? It looks like it worked, Yukari observed quietly, impressed by Ted's display of power. It was nothing, Ted shrugged, trying to play it cool. The battle was over in an instant. As the dust settled, the announcement echoed across the field. The game has ended due to the annihilation of the rabbits. Therefore, the winner is Team D. Cheers erupted from their side as Eliza and Ted celebrated. We did it! Eliza cheered, her fists pumping in victory. Yukari smiled, relieved that the battle was finally over. Later that day, as the team returned to the classroom, Abel was approached by one of his classmates. Abel, what's this about? The classmate asked, holding up a device. Take a look at this video feed. Abel raised an eyebrow, confused. Huh? What's this? His classmate showed him footage from a reconnaissance drone. This is from earlier today, during PE class. Look closely here. Abel's eyes widened as he watched the footage. Disguised magic? The symbols being invoked were clear on the screen. They had been used simultaneously, and yet it was cleverly hidden within the chaos of battle. If you build the magic from the ground up, you don't violate the rules, Abel murmured. But to handle a tribute-less magic like that? How? This is from a reconnaissance drone I developed, his classmate explained, clearly proud of his invention. You can watch Abel in real time. It's the third one that's been shot down, though. Abel chuckled. Next time, you'll have to record from a further distance. Elsewhere, Emerson, a genius magician nicknamed the Young Lion, was watching the same footage with growing fascination. His eyes were fixed on Abel. To make someone like him so obsessed, Abel, honey muttered, his interest peaked. Meanwhile, Ted was basking in his newfound reputation. Since the game, the Inner Circle students had backed down, and the harassment had finally stopped. Ted was called the Demon King and began to be feared by those around him. One by one, the students who had once taunted Ted and his friends approached, bowing their heads in shame. We're sorry, they said in unison. Abel watched the scene unfold, a quiet smile playing on his lips. That's one step forward, he thought, as the peaceful school life he had longed for finally seemed within reach.